Hi everybody. I apologize for the bad hair day, but I forgot that I was going to be recording this for your exemplar today. Before we even begin, I just wanted to show you that there is a section of the PowerPoints called Notes, and that's where I want you to add any details. Remember, PowerPoints with tons of words are super difficult for audience members to stay focused with, and so by using visuals like smart arts and having notes at the bottom will kind of take away the bulkiness of your presentation, but still include the information for when people are reviewing your work. So let's go ahead and get started. The topic that I chose is one that none of you will be doing, and I'm not going to actually do this presentation, but when you film yours, if you decide to film yours, you would kind of pretend like you were explaining it, like Dora the Explorer style. So for this presentation, it's about translanguaging. And you'll notice on the very first slide, there's this bubble right here that asks you if you can basically figure out what your Portuguese poem means. So I'll show you my handout. Obviously, all the words are underlined because it's in Portuguese. And as the people come into your presentation, they would look at the projector and they would see that they're being asked to do this thing. And they can collaborate with their table mates and just try their best to figure it out. When I look at this, I speak Spanish, and I might notice I see the word porque, and I know that that means because. If I don't speak any Spanish at all, I do know like fuerza. I've seen that in sports games, and so I know it's like force or strength, and so I can kind of use all my language skills to try and figure it out, which is the whole point of translanguaging. So right off the bat, the audience members are engaged. As I continue, you'll notice again this PowerPoint slide I used from University of Houston, their template. I used to work there, so I just used it. I think it's really a well done template. But you can use your school's template, you can make your own, but remember to keep it nice and simple like this. I kept it clear. What is translanguaging? I divided it into 3 words, and what I would do during this slide is I would ask the group to explain what these things meant so they could come up with one definition together. This one goes into a little bit more detail about what technically it is, and I included 3 quotes. For this activity, I might ask an individual to read it out so that I'm not just talking the whole entire time, but I would keep it nice and clear like that. Why an asset? This particular slide, I include like what people think, what people might say, and the research behind it. But you notice, I forgot to mention this before, I included all of my citations for everything that I used on each slide. For this particular one, you'll notice that I used an image. That's another really good way to engage in conversation. And you could just ask people what they think about this, or whatever image you have. You can just find those online and just cite it, of course. But a picture where audience members have to have a conversation is a good way to create interaction. The same is true for here. This could be something that you break down into a gallery walk, and you would explain that during your video. But each gallery walk could have something about like the specific details for bilingual teachers, for example, all the way through cognates, but these are just examples. This is just a basic slide, nothing special here. I used direct quotes, so maybe I would share a little bit about the study that I was referencing here, but then ask the class or my audience members what their examples of translanguaging look like in their own classrooms, so that can be more of like an interactive conversation. And then I would actually have them go back and look at the second part of their handout. So this is a language approach, and obviously page 2, it talks about, it's just like an interactive conversation with kids that are engaging in translanguaging. So I could have people role play for this, which is a good way to create interaction during a presentation. And so you could do some sort of role play as well in your professional development session, so it's not just you talking. This goes back into more of the research. This would be more of a presentation slide anyway. But again, you'll notice that I didn't have it filled with stuff. I have it chunked into different sections to make it easier to access. Keep on going with the nice things, and then I just, to kind of bring it all back to the stuff from the very beginning, are due first. I go into the translation, and people can see how much they actually got correct. Then I have my works cited. Literally the only thing that this presentation is missing, again, this wasn't made for this class, it was made for a different session. But the two things that I'm looking for are an objective slide. So by the end of this presentation, the teacher will be able to define translanguaging, describe ways to include translanguaging practices in their classroom. Those might be my objective slides. And then at the end, I would have another slide right before this one, where I would talk about like specific things that teachers can do. And I might actually refer to this slide as my specific call to action for what teachers can do. So this is what it would look like. The benefit of doing a video is that I can explain my presentation and I can tell my colleagues, or I can tell you guys when you review it, when there's going to be role playing, when there's going to be push towards the guided notes, when there's going to be conversations, so you can know specifically when people are going to be interactive, and I can just explain my process. You can do this in multiple ways. You could just submit your PowerPoint and a handout. You could submit the PowerPoint, the handout, and this video link to explain like your process. Or, like I said, you could do it Dora the Explorer style, where you would be kind of web facilitating, like, "Hello class, welcome to Translanguaging, the case for using all students' linguistic resources. Please take the next 3 minutes to work at your tables to try and figure out what this Portuguese poem means." Wait 3 minutes. Well done, everybody. We'll come back to that one at the end. What I would like to do now is to go into and break down translanguaging. What does trans mean? Very good. What does language mean? Wonderful. What does ing mean? Great. Now, can you try and put that all together into a workable definition? Great. We're going to continue with the next slide. So you can do literally any of those three things. Remember that the better that you explain it, the more likely that your classmates will be able to understand what you're saying. If you have any questions moving forward, please do not hesitate to call me. Thank you. Have a great day.